Hello and welcome to Slaughterhouse Talks. I'm Porkchop.
And I'm Dr. Graves.
And today we're talking about 1981's Halloween 2, directed by Rick Rosenthanl and music done by John Carpenter.
Yeah, it's a real interesting sequel. I feel like Mustafa Akkad was just like, I'm not done with these.
No, it was never done. I like this movie mainly because it is a perfect continuation from the first one.
Yeah.
It is perfectly cut, and it's basically all the...
It's the same. It's throughout the same night, in a sense. So whatever happened in the first film will kind of be mentioned and pushed through into this film as well. It's a really good continuation, like you said.
You want to get some characters real quick?
Absolutely, get them in.
We got Laurie Strode, Dr. Loomis, Michael Myers, Karen, Jimmy, Bud, Marion Chambers, and Nurse Alves.
Okay. Nice. And who do they play in this?
Jamie Lee Curtis plays Laurie Strode again.
Yeah,
Donald Pleasance returns with crazy Dr. Loomis.
He gets exceedingly crazier.
Dick Warlock is Michael Myers.
I think one of the best Michaels.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pamela Shoop is Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Lance Guest is Jimmy, the ambulance.
Dirty ambulance.
No, Bud. Bud's dirty.
Oh no, Jimmy's the love interest.
Yeah, he's curly-haired love interest. Leah Rossi is Bud.
He's filthy.
Nancy Stevens as Marion Chambers. She's back again.
Nice.
And then Gloria Clifford
as Nurse Alves.
Yeah, Nurse Alves.
Nice.
Do you want to get into this little beast?
This little beast. Opens with the Universal logo, as now Halloween will be owned by Universal throughout.
Somewhat. Before it goes up to Blumhouse and stuff.
For some reason now, Michael is connected with the Mr. Sandman song.
It shows up in this movie, and then Rob Zombie Halloween.
It's just connected with that.
It's just connected. And then I think it shows up in H2O.
So it opens up, Mr. Sandman. October 31st, 1978, even though this film was released in 81. We're going to pretend it's 78.
It's all the same night.
Mm-hmm. Cuts to the first ending of Halloween 1. If you watched our previous film, you'll know about that. So cuts to that.
Oh, we should talk about the copies we had. Oh, you had the VHS copy or something where he shot him...
So in the VHS, in the original copy, whoever fucked up in the sound booth, Dr. Loomis shoots 6 times, but in the sound booth it goes off 7. I have a VHS tape of Halloween 2, it goes off 7 times, and the joke is throughout that he said he shot him 6 times.
We watched this DVD release where
they cleaned it up and they cut it out, and it's like, thank God, so now he shoots him finally 6 times, and there's actually, continuity. So Michael gets shot, 6 times, falls out the window.
We get the same.
Go back, look out the window, Michael's not there. And then we get that nice little, okay, now we're into the movie, cuts down to walks outside, and he's like, what the hell's going on? The neighbor's like,
I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight.
You know what death is.
And then we get the new score for Halloween.
Which is pretty decent.
John Carpenter, I like this soundtrack.
It's pretty decent. It's a lot more synthy.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It kind of talks about... So it tells you that we're in the 80s.
A little bit of money.
Yeah, a lot more money. We get to this opening, and now that we have this, again, with the pumpkin zooming in, but then a skull.
It cracks open to a skull.
Cracks open, the skull comes out. And it's like, okay, now we're into something. This is cool.
This is different.
I know, kind of a side note, but Halloween 2 is kind of weird. Like, Halloween 1 is like the theme is orange. Halloween 2's little under theme is green.
It's green.
For some reason. Neon green. If you look at the VHS cover or some of the other publicity, neon green. Don't know why. Halloween 2 is a green film.
You know what? It's fine. So Michael survives the shooting.
And he's gone.
And we get a lot of POV shots, and this POV shot is him walking down an alleyway which
is behind Laurie's house, and it goes to...
Yeah, it's behind all the houses, so it's just like this,
It's a little tiny back area.
Yeah, back alleyway, basically. Probably buying crack or something, I don't know. Michael does what Michael does.
Yeah, and there's an old woman pans through the camera. Like, we go from Michael's POV, and then we just go into camera vision, and it pans through the window.
It's in their house.
She's making a disgusting sandwich. It's like a big lump of, like, ham.
Yeah, it's kosher ham.
Ugh. And
you want mushroom with that? And the husband's asleep watching Night of the Living Dead.
Why would you be sleeping? Well, it's the cut-up version, that's why.
Yeah, it's a made for TV version. Okay.
It's not that good. He's watching Night of the Living Dead because it was public domain.
Yeah, it was public domain, so we watched it anyway.
And I feel like that was Carpenter's nice little nod to, like, Romero being like, hey, I like you.
I would get into Romero so badly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I love that man.
So we get this POV, and, like, it cuts back through to Michael's POV, and he grabs a knife, but he got his dirty little grubby bloody hands all over the place.
Yeah,
and
blood drips on the cutting board.
and she turns around, she's like, well, my sandwich, that ain't ketchup, and that's blood, and screams, and
Mr. and Mrs. Elrod.
that's the name of him.
Yes.
The scream happens, Michael leaves, and the next door neighbor's like, most suspicious neighbor, and kind of like sneaky. He's just like, I'm gonna call my friend, not the police. I'm gonna call my friend and be like, hey.
Her friend was already on the phone.
Yeah, she's like, hey, guess what? Next door neighbor's Mr. and Mr. Elron. Like, Mr. Elron's an asshole to her, and they probably got in a fight. Why don't you call the police?
She said, I think he finally started beating her.
It's like, that's when you call the police, right? It's like, no. And anyway, the friend interrupts and is like, by the way, like...
Have you heard what happened tonight?
What?
And there's all this backstory about the killings in Haddonfield and all the news, and turns... Okay, we talked about this on movies. She turns on the radio. It's perfect information she needs to hear.
Every time you turn on the radio and it's like what you want to hear. It's like when I turn on the radio, it's like Mattress King.
Or adverts, or like maybe the end of a song.
Yeah.
Every time in the movie they turn the radio on, it's just like, there's been 4 murders. You need to watch these areas on this street corner. It's like, oh.
It's like, oh,
perfect.
She's like, that's right down the street. It's like, yeah. And guess what? You left your back door open.
Front door and back door.
And so Michael just like sneaks in through the background and just like, oh,
stabs her.
Stabs her.
Quick stab.
Quick stab, and the blood like sprays up, and that's it. Dead girl. Blood splat.
And then
the cops are picking up at the Laurie house. They go pick up with an ambulance and go pick up Laurie and like any of the corpses or anything else. And
Jimmy and Bud pick her up in a stretcher.
She gets into the ambulance, and we get the whole backstory that Strode Realtors are real good real estate to get in Haddonfield. And
she's taken to HMH, which is Haddonfield Memorial Hospital.
It's a cool logo.
I do like the HMH, I have to admit.
Go in, ambulance pulls in, and Laurie gets wheeled in with a child with a razor blade in the mouth, because this would never happen.
It's never happened. There's no been documented cases of razor blade in any candy. But it was such a big stigma and just huge at the time because of the murders.
Like Stranger Danger too.
Well, I won't get into serial killers, but yeah. There was a murder, kids poison candy by their father.
Yeah, with the sugar sticks.
Sugar sticks. But yeah, there was no recorded cases of the straight razor. What's it called?
The razor, and it's in the kid's mouth.
The kid has a razor in his mouth, and the mom's just like, okay, we'll go in. And everyone's like, oh my god, it's Laurie Strode. Kid comes in, and they're just like, you have to wait. He's busy right now. It's like, we should probably see a doctor. It's like, just go wait in the waiting room.
Oh my god, Laurie Strode.
Yeah, it's like, Laurie, look who is Laurie Strode.
Strode Realtors.
Wow.
She sold my house.
Wow. It's like everyone just knows.
While this all comes in, like, she's having, like, the whole, like, fit, like, she doesn't want to go to sleep, and I can see why, because Dr. Mixter comes in.
Dr. Mixter, man.
He's
been at the country club all day.
Yeah, and what his name implies.
Oh yeah, he's been mixed.
You give me some more coffee.
Yeah, okay, I'll get you more coffee.
More coffee, and like
he is gone. He is on a different planet right now. Drunker than a skunk.
And like Laurie's got like all cut up from the previous film, so got arm slashed, and he's like, "Oh,
you lost a lot of blood."
It's like nonchalant, and she doesn't want to go to sleep because
I don't know
trauma. But she goes to sleep anyway with forced injection. She's out of it.
The way they show that scene, it looks like he just puts her blood back in. They don't show the liquid going in, they just show blood.
They just oh, here you go, you'd have that back.
So it looks like her blood's going back in, but it's okay. And we cut to Karen. She's late for work, right? Oh no.
We got the cops looking for...
I'm so sorry. Yeah. So Loomis tracks down Brackett. And he's
in his car loading his gun.
Well, yeah, when he tracks down, he's ranting. I shot him 6 times! And Brackett's like, alright, get in.
Yeah, just calm the fuck down.
And then he's loading his put animation.
Yeah, this 6-shooter.
Yeah, he's loading it, and he's like, can you put that away?
And he shoots. No, I'm just kidding.
And then they get and they're shooting their flashlights down the street, and they think they see Michael.
Some motherfucking kid is dressed up as Michael. Walking the street.
Blonde hair.
Blonde haired Michael. So you know it's not actually him. And then Loomis comes out and puts a gun at him. He's like, just stop, wait. And like,
Brackett tries to stop
everything. And like, a cop car smashes into him and an ambulance.
Yeah, and
it explodes. And we'll just say it now so we're able to bring up later. Who's the corpse?
It's Ben Tramer.
Fucking.
I said it would be funny in the first
He'll
one.
be back in the second one and it'll be funny. No, Laurie's
love interest
dies. Pushed aside, explode, dead. And we get to see his crispy corpse later.
Yeah, scraping at his teeth.
So, yeah.
And then we get a call in.
We get a call in from Sheriff Brackett's men that they found. Yeah.
Do you want me to do the bit?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, we got a call around the corner, and we got bodies. One of them was Annie. What? And they go off. They run to Brackett house, and we find Annie's corpse. All these news reporters covering the scene.
I'm glad she came back to play as a corpse.
Yeah, she got like a pay rate. She got a day's pay, just laying on a stretcher with
dead.
That. And then... After all that, do you want to talk about Brackett's acting?
Oh yeah, so Brackett takes acting class from Loomis, crazy acting, and he gets so distraught because Annie's dead. And like throughout the first film and this film, he blames that Loomis let him out, but if you watch it, it's clearly that Michael got out by himself. But everyone loves to blame Loomis, apparently. So
look at him.
He looks at Loomis, he's like, you let him out!
You let him out!
I didn't.
He goes straight face and walks away.
Why don't you go and get out here? I gotta tell my wife before someone else does.
And then he walks away.
And then Dr. Loomis, we get this awesome... There's a couple of them, but we get the first Dr. Loomis monologue in this movie, and he talks about just more of like the backstory about how he was as a patient.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, this is how it is, and this is how Michael is going to keep being. He's just pure evil. And he hints at that in this. When we get to the fourth film, that is Michael's overall plot.
Yeah,
he's
Michael,
just
evil. Michael.
But Loomis is more planting the seeds of being like, this is no man.
This is no man. And now we get to Karen. She's late for work. Oh, she has to take her friend home before she gets to work. And it's like Michael walks to, and we call that, and it's Dick Warlock's son holding a boombox.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs into him.
And he bumps into him. Go on, boy,
my son.
Oh, his son, little cowboy boy, moves.
Michael walks.
But here's the thing:
to the hospital.
We get this thing where like the Karen's already gone, and like Michael bumps into like his son, and he walks past this elementary school, which later we'll go back to. But there's a red car or a car that Michael will take to get to the hospital.
Oh yeah, he takes a car.
But like because of that, the scene is implied he just goes to the elementary school, so like. Michael's there right now.
When I first watched it, I don't think he drove the car because there's a video feed of him walking in the hospital background.
Okay.
So I don't know if he takes a car or not, but there is a red car that shows up.
So he went to the elementary school.
Did he? Oh yeah, he did some stuff, but we don't know about that hit.
Yeah, he's going to do some funky stuff at the elementary school, and then he'll go to the hospital in that meantime, and while that meantime happens, Karen gets to the hospital to meet Bud.
Bud and Jamie and I can't remember her name.
The other nurse?
The other nurse were just talking about Michael Myers and...
Well, Bud doesn't believe her.
Bud's like, you're full of shit. And then he talks about pizza.
I want a pizza with... What was it?
Big sausage and juicy peppers, but no onions. I don't like onions.
Yeah, it's like...
Okay. And then for some reason, there's a pumpkin in the background and a pineapple.
Oh yeah, a pumpkin and a pineapple. I don't know what that has to say about Halloween.
Well, you know, you gotta do what you do. And then the nurse gets pissed off and we'll insert the clip. The classic Bud Sit on My Face song.
Oh yeah, because...
It's pretty good. And that was all improv.
As I say, because back then, Amazing Grace was public domain.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. That version of public... not that version, but Amazing Grace, in a sense, was public domain. They found out, and then they were like, no. And then they're like, no, someone actually owns it. And they're like, okay, we'll do something else. So he did Amazing Grace's everything, but ad-libbed all the lyrics. It's really good.
Karen walks in, and we kind of get hinted at that Bud and her are friends with benefits. I'll just say it as that. Because I don't think they're in a relationship, because Bud seems like a bad person to be in a relationship with.
And while this is happening, logically, we had to think about it Michael went in through the back door while this was happening, because we were like, because the scene later cuts in when Michael's in the baby room where Karen works.
Yeah.
And we had to be like, well, Jimmy was looking out the window. How did he get in? He went through the back door. So Michael's now in the hospital.
Jimmy's just kind of out of it right now because I think we all know
he's thinking about Laurie.
He's in love with Laurie, but it's like it never works with patients, but nurses are different. And then JB storms off.
Jimmy. And from this, we know Michael is in because Karen.
Well, Michael's in the background of a lot of these scenes in this movie, or just like in the security camera view, or doing stuff. Either he's going into rooms, he's hiding, people are coming down the hallway, and you can see him jump into a room real quick, and he's sneaking. Yeah. That's what I kind of like. He's got stuff to do in this movie.
Yeah, he's got a little occupation.
He's trying to be quiet.
Yeah,
he's like trying to do Solid Snake.
Yeah,
he hasn't been detected.
He's in a box.
Yeah.
And while Michael's walking around, we get to Jimmy walks into Laurie's room because he stormed off. That's all his mind's about.
Jimmy,
he goes in, Coke? And you want a Coke, and then Laurie's kind of getting more back into it after all the shit, and it's just like, well, what happened? It's like, well, Michael Myers tried to get you, and it always dawned on me like she didn't know who was getting her in the first film. That's more of a threat.
No one knew who was getting her until like the news came out.
And it's like Michael Myers, and she's like, what the fucking the Myers house? That little boy,
the little kid chopped up his sister.
Yeah, that one. Do you want a Coke?
Yeah, you want a Coke?
And then Nurse Alvin comes in and breaks up. What's her name?
The Alves.
Alves breaks in. Nurse Alves gets in and like, you gotta stop this shit. Go do your job.
Come on, Jimmy, get out of here. Come on, you little rascal. Grabs him by the head and scrubs him. Yeah. No, that doesn't happen.
It's like, you can't be messing around, but now we know that it's Michael. And she knows it's Michael.
And then we get to Mr. Garrett. I mean, some stuff happens in between. I would say just Michael walking around and then characters talking. Then the power in the back goes out.
In the phones.
And Laurie checks the phone and there's no response. And then we go to Mr. Garrett.
The security guard.
And he gives the... I wouldn't say she's a nurse. I think she's a help or an intern.
Okay.
But gives a walkie-talkie. It's his own fault. Doesn't teach her how to use the walkie-talkie, and he walks away.
Because he's got to check on this thing.
And we get great, just classic spook shots. Him creeping around, and he hears a big bang, and it's a cat.
In a trash can.
He's like,
and she keeps cutting back to her fucking around with the walkie-talkie.
Trying to get his attention, because it's like, dude, I need to be on the floor right now. I have a job to do.
Yeah. And then she doesn't know how to use the walkie-talkie, and then he walks into the storage, more of the back storage, and finally...
Rule of 3.
Oh, for the love of God, yeah, for the rule of 3, and Michael's just like, this seems too long, and cuts it up with his nice little hammer kill.
Yeah. Wham! Right, and then the walkie-talkie goes flat, and she's like, I gotta get back on the floor now, Mr. Garrett, and runs. Just leaves him. He's dead.
While all this shit's happened at the hospital, there's a riot at his house because now everyone knows that Michael Myers is alive.
So everyone's at the riot, and it's just Loomis, classic Loomis, like hiding my sense of detection as he's loading his gun.
What did he say when the riot happened at the house?
This is a wake!
This is a wake!
The number's been butchered.
This is like, crazy, Loomis. What does that mean?
This is what, dude? And then
another Loomis monologue.
Another Loomis monologue about darkness and. Yeah, I knew he was evil. And then 2 kids come up to the officer, and they're like, Ben Trader didn't show up. He was really drunk, and he
wore a stupid mask.
Wore a stupid Halloween mask. And then we're like, uh-oh. There we go, the body's confirmed. And then another, I think, I can't remember his name, he runs up to the other officer. It's like, there's been a break-in at elementary school. We think it might have been him. And they just haul off the elementary school.
And that flashes to Laurie in bed.
It flashes to Laurie in bed having a
flashback.
Having a hell of a time.
Because it was mentioned before, but like, you gotta hide it in the plot. But like, Laurie didn't want to go to sleep with the injection. And we're like, okay, why not? And then we get this thing. She has night terrors and it's a flashback. And we're like, oh shit, nice little backstory. Laurie's mother...
Laurie's adopted.
It's adopted. And the way the mom like breaks it to her, it's like, I keep telling you, I'm not your real mother.
I'm not your mother. It's just so cold.
It's like, damn. And like, there's this weird kind of this kid in bandages up on somewhere in a chair looking out the window, implying it's Michael.
Of course.
And that means that Laurie is Michael's...
In this movie,
in this timeline,
yes.
They're related.
They're related. And it's just a...
And she wakes up from there and...
Bud and Karen.
Bud and Karen are...
Bud's trying to convince Karen to take a few minutes off and watching...
Really watching
babies.
Like
literal infants. To go have some fun time in the therapy tub.
Yeah.
And it works for some reason.
He forces it on her.
I don't know if it's forced.
It is.
She makes a decision at the end. She made it.
It's so forced.
Well, it just cuts them making out in
the tub, and then Michael's fucking around with the dials. He's like,
Michael's in the background turning up the heat.
I'm gonna turn it so spicy. Woo! And she's like, it's really hot. And he's like, okay, I'll go turn it down. And there's that cool scene where she's like, you gotta have the gratuitous breast shot, whatever. And like, there's that cool scene like they're in the background behind the pane of glass, and Michael strangles him, and he's like, oh!
And Bud's gone.
Bud's dead. And he's like the silhouette of it, and
Michael walks in.
Michael Slater walks in, but she's like still thinks it's Bud, and she's like
kissing his
flirting
hands,
with him,
sucking his thumb, and
sucking his fingers, and like, dude, Michael's fingers are gonna taste like blood, oil, dirt, some other liquids. I don't know. Like, maybe he picks his butt or something.
No, I hope not.
Yeah. And then she looks up, and it's like Michael the whole time is like, well, yeah, you were sucking on a not Bud's finger. Like,
plus, Bud would say something because Bud talks the entire time.
Yeah, he was just...
And we get a great deep fry, basically. Just his face gets all crispy and burnt and lovely.
Really good makeup. Getting basically boiled alive.
After all that lovely special effects, we're back at the elementary school with a mispronunciation.
Oh yeah, we finally get the why was Michael at the elementary school. He just wanted to leave a nice little threatening picture of like Laurie.
Sister.
Yeah. And left something on the wall. What is it called?
Samhain.
And what does fucking Loomis say?
Samhain. The reason he pronounced it Samhain is because
it looks
back in the 80s and back in the 70s there was a rule of like whatever's written you must
say.
So if it's like, if you're reading a document in like a court movie and something is pronounced, like it's written as like, I don't know, gesture, but you have to pronounce it gesture, you have to say gesture. You cannot just say how it's actually pronounced. So that's why it's like, it's Samhain. You can have to break down here.
Yeah, if you look at the word Samhain, it looks like Samhain, but so
it's not. That's like that, because it's just like, no one's gonna get Samhain. But then in 3, he actually said
we get a correction.
We get a correction by
So Festival of Sound is just Halloween, but it's the OG Halloween. It's the actual Halloween, and what we do now is the kid friendly.
Pagan.
Yeah. And Loomis is like, oh god, this is some good information before Nurse Chambers comes in. It's like, hello, hey, and he's like, oh, it's you. And it's like, dude, it's the same night.
Yeah.
You just been so stressed.
He's been so stressed. It's like, I need to talk to you alone. And it's like, what did I do?
Because he failed to situate this Michael problem, basically the governor has gotten his ass to order him back to Smith's Road so he can account for what he's done and probably loses the license.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, make up any excuse. I'm not doing that. And he's like, no, you have to come. And there's an armed guard outside. So it cuts. That's Dr. Loomis's problem. We go back to the hospital where we've had Bud and we've had Karen and now Dad.
And then the nurses check in on Laurie. Well, Jimmy goes to Laurie and she's just staring.
She pretended she's dead.
Yeah, she's not dead.
Well,
out of it.
But we're supposed to think she's dead.
Nurse Alves is gone.
Yeah,
we don't know when Nurse Alves gone. But we're getting the blonde-haired nurse from the picture. She's so cute. She's beautiful. I love her. She's like, uh-oh, there's no response. Quick, go tell Dr. Mixter. Dr. Mixter. Not the blonde-haired, but the other one I can't.
The one who was on the walkie-talkie, she goes, checks out Dr. Mixter. And they go in, and he's like, his back's turned, and he's like talking and like looking at his fish tank. And she's like, this is really serious. Aren't you moving? And he looks around, and he's got syringe in his eye. Dead.
And then there's a beautiful shot in the darkness where Michael Myers' mask shows first. And then he grabs the intern nurse.
Yeah, picks her up.
Syringes right here. And you don't want air in the body where it should be.
Right.
It gives her an aneurysm and kills her.
Right.
Which is kind of cool, actually.
Dead.
Michael's stalking. After you finish that, Jamie gets up. Not Jamie. Well, oh my god! Oops.
So
Laurie gets up.
Laurie's now has to go hide, and Michael's in the hospital.
There's some pretty good shots of her smeared Vaseline on camera. It's drugged up.
Yeah, and Michael walks around. It's like, oh whoa, someone in this room.
Oh whoa,
a bed. I'm gonna go stab it. Stabs the shit out of it, and it's like Lord of the Rings almost. It's like, wait,
it's a pillow.
Goddamn pillow. And Laurie's gone.
She's limping around. She's slowly getting out of the hospital. She's still drugged up, and
she just needs to get out.
She just needs to get out because she knows Michael's here.
Mm.
Goes back to, and then she falls asleep. She cuddles up in a corner.
Oh yeah,
and it's just a long shot of her just falling asleep. It could have been just like quick, but it stays on her.
Mm.
And then it goes to Loomis and Marion in the car
with the.
Getting some juicy backstory.
Yeah, for all Loomis knew, he got all the information he ever got, and then Nurse Chambers is like, well, there's a file.
What file?
Well, there's no file you haven't read, and it tells everything about Laurie
and Michael.
And he's like, well, Jesus Christ, like...
She's at the hospital.
Yeah, don't you know why he's here? Because he killed one sister, now he's going to finish the... wait, where's the hospital here?
And... Back on 85, 3 miles.
And he's like, well, I need to go back. He's like, well, I have orders. And he pulls out his gun and he's like, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to fire a warning shot. And he shoots it in the car. Shoots out the window and the car turns around to go back to the hospital. And that's where they got to be.
And then it goes to the blonde nurse. But like, where's Laurie?
Laurie's asleep.
It's quiet and she's looking. And then we get a Jimmy jump scare. He's just, sorry.
I'm gonna go check the rest of the rooms. And Jimmy,
apparently, if we're talking about Jimmy, most of all the actresses had a crush on him, the actor. Most of all the actresses.
Weird.
Is it?
No.
So Jimmy's like, I can't find anyone, so I'm gonna look again. And he goes to the changing room. Yeah. There's like no one there. Then he goes to the operating room, and we find a beautiful scene.
It's like Giallo.
It's very Giallo.
All the floors... She's been drained of her blood practically, and it's not like a normal film blood because the floor was black; it wouldn't have come up. So it's Giallo, bright red blood. It's beautiful, and he like looks around, it's like, oh no, she's dead, and he turns around and slips on it, and like, it gets me every time.
He slips on it and hits his head on the marble floor.
Every time it gets it, I'm like, damn, knocks the wind out of you, and you're unconscious.
So we go, it's bad. We go to the blonde nurse and she can't find Mr. Garrett. So she's like, you know what, I'm getting out here. So she runs to the parking lot. Michael's smart. He has popped every tire in that parking lot, so no one can escape. Mm-hmm. And then Laurie wakes up.
And she gets to crawl through the hallways.
Yeah. She's crawling through the hallways, back and forth. The blonde nurse walks back in. It's like, Laurie! And she turns around and we get a great kill. Michael picks her up with a scalpel in the spine.
Picks her up so high her shoes fall off. It's so good, and then drops her.
And then we get another little chase sequence where it's like my favorite music comes in.
Laurie runs as fast as possible with a broken ankle.
Michael doesn't really run, so it's kind of...
Doesn't have to,
but it's still like, she's still outrunning him, even though she's hobbling. He's just kind of walking. She
takes the storage area, and there's an elevator in the storage room that was previously just mentioned or discovered.
And we see Mr. Garrett.
Mr. Garrett's hung up, and like thing with these horror movies is like some of those characters scream at people they've never seen before. She's never met the security guard.
But when you scream, if you saw a podcast?
No, it's just like so weird to me. It's like,
even though you don't know this character.
Yeah, it's like, okay. But she gets into the elevator and Michael's so close. He gets his hand into the door.
And it closes.
It's like, oh, my hands. And, gets finally up onto the first floor of the car park. And she needs to get into the cars. And she's like, well, she can't drive them, but she's got to hide in one.
So she hides in the car.
So she gets inside the car. Because they've got through the doctor... we have to wait, and Dr. Loomis and everyone's driving back. Jimmy gets into the car. It got me the first time, and every fucking time it happens, Laurie's just in the car, just like, just wait now, just make sure no one comes. And Jimmy gets into the car and like builds up and like opens the door. And it's like, Jesus Christ! Yeah. And it's like, no, fucking Jimmy. And he's like really out of it, and he's like,
well, yeah, he's concussed.
I think And he falls on the thing and bangs the horn. It's like, God.
His head's laying on the horn and it's like, oh.
God damn it. Get your head up ahead. And she's like, well, now I've got to get out because Michael could come out. And
Loomis and Marion show up.
Thank God. Dr. Loomis and everyone shows up, but Laurie's not going to scream for help.
Because, one, I think she's too weak. Two, it's either Michael.
Alert Michael.
So it's kind of like suspicious. They go inside the building and then she screams for help.
Help me! And so it was too late. And everyone's inside and
they split
Dr.
up.
Loomis is looking around and they split up and they he goes tells Nurse Chambers go get the gun and she's not authorized and get a gun and inform the police that this can happen. She's not authorized to do it, but go do it anyway. Not authorized
to use the
walkie-talkie. Yeah, and it's like go do it anyway and I'll let you get through that.
Michael shows up and Jamie just hobbles as fast as she can to the
gets through the door.
And bang on, and Loomis is looking around. He's like, "Oh, open that!"
Yeah, and there's this cool shot when Michael appears because we've been thinking Michael's been in the hospital the whole time, but he's been practically just waiting for Laurie to get out,
basically.
And this red light is there, and he appears in the red light, and
it's
then
so
walks
cool.
through. It's like, it's so sick.
The cop opens the door. Loomis
who are you?
Grabs Laurie's like it's okay, and then Michael just walks head on. And he wasn't going nearly fast enough. But he goes head on and breaks the glass.
Just walks through the door.
And takes some shots.
Yeah, and
Loomis shoots him and
he thinks he's dead and the cop's like, oh, he's dead, let me go check him. And he kneels down with him and Loomis is like, no, just stay back. And
just leave him alone.
The cop's like, I'm gonna go check while Loomis looks away and then Michael grabs him.
He makes a goofy face and gets his throat slit.
He gets slit, perfect clean cut, and they're like, oh no! It's like, let's go.
Another chase sequence ensues.
Chase through the hospital, which is really good.
So from the beginning, they go all the way to the back room where there's no escape. They're all the way in the back of the hospital where there's no exit.
Yeah.
And they just lock themselves in one operating room.
Yeah, and Loomis is trying to give her a gun.
And he puts it on the floor.
Just here, and then I'm gonna hide in this. I'm gonna try and go back to the door, and Michael's. I'm done with this door as well.
Michael just breaks down that door like it's nothing.
Yeah, kicks through, busts through it, and Loomis could almost take a shot, and Michael gut stabs him, and he's like, falls back, and he onto the floor, and Laurie has to gain that power of Superwoman, and picks up the gun and
shoots twice.
Shoots twice in the eyes, and there's that beautiful shot of coming out and. In theory, Michael is blind throughout the whole series, but we're not going to continuity that, but he should be blind.
He should be blind.
But he does that blind swinging, and Loomis gets up with that gut stab, and he's like, I'm going to turn on all this gas.
Turn all the gases on, all the oxygen and CO2.
And Laurie does the same thing and confuses Michael because he can't see it, and he's get out. I gotta go on now. And Laurie just books the fuck down to the end of the hallway, and Loomis is like, it's time, Michael, with his lighter.
Boom.
Hallway explosion. It's so cool. Fire everywhere.
Fire stun.
Michael walks out on fire. Oh shit, he's still alive, and he just...
It's a great fire stun. Dick Warlock did that. And this is one of the many reasons why they took the metal zippers off fire jackets. Because he said it got so hot that the metal zipper melted through. And he has 2 burns. One here. And he was like, it's okay, that's all the damage I sustained, but it's like, this is the reason why we took those off. Mm. Great fire stun. Falls, fades to black. Fades back in.
Laurie is now getting taken to another hospital. The family's getting informed. So good. She get the last shot of Michael's face burning and Laurie's face just nonchalant, and Mr. Sandman comes in.
It's great.
And it's Halloween 2.
What were we rating this?
I gave Halloween 1, I think, a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Because I think it was really good. I will give this one a 10 out of 10.
I gave it a 9.8.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you. One is just, I'm not a big fan of Laurie just stuck in hospital, stumbling around. I like when Laurie does stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff is slow sequences I'm not really interested in. Sometimes the music can be repetitive when it doesn't need to even be there. Mm. But other than that, it's a pretty good movie. You should check it out.
Yeah, I give it 10 out of 10 because I think the backstory is something we needed, and it's just a nice continuation.
Well, I like its continuation. Perfect cut.
It's just a really good sequel.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
But thank you for watching. Thank you for watching and listening. This is Slaughterhouse Talks. What are we doing next time?
Next time we're going to be tackling Halloween 3, the un-Michael Myers movie.
So good.
It's a really good movie. Don't like shit on it if you
don't
know
knock
about
it till you try.
Exactly. If you have heard of this one, it's a lot of fun. So until then, keep watching horror movies
and have a ghoulish day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.